Good afternoon. My name is Jerome Karslake, and I'm Director of the National Road Safety Partnership Program and facilitator for today's session, which is creating opportunity for people who can't access safe mobility and making it a reality. Now, I know it's a very different symposium for what we have planned, as it's very virtual, so we've had to adapt the whole way through. So thank you very much for joining us, and hope you enjoy it and can ask some questions at the end of today's virtual session. Just first, some context before I jump in and introduce our presenters. Where this has really originated from is actually, it came from the Australasian Road Safety Conference back in Perth about 4 years ago now. How time flies. And where it came from was James Goodwin, the past CEO of ANCAP, actually gave me a bit of a challenge. He said, look, Jerome, within the National Road Safety Partnership Program, you have a number of major corporate partners with huge fleets. And when they actually offload them at the end of their lease life, they just sold off and they're going back into the system again. And the big challenge he pointed out is basically the average age of the fleet is 10.4 years, and those involved in a fatal crash are 12.9. So the idea being is if we can get a lot more of these younger people having the crashes into these ex-fleet vehicles, perhaps we can reduce the number of fatalities among younger drivers on the road. So he posed that to me, and I took that sort of challenge on board in the NRSCP, and we've continued to workshop it over a couple of years. And this is going to be touching on part of that journey, how we've gone about. So what we've got is Tristan King from Empowr Mobility, and he's co-founder with myself of Empowr Mobility. And that really is the enabler, which has really brought this into life. Tristan facilitated a workshop for the National Road Safety Partnership Program on the 31st of July 2019. And from that was when really the journey began. We had a number of corporates in the room, and he's going to touch on that in his presentation. That's the first one that's really kicking off. So Tristan's going to touch on a pilot that was developed in that sort of workshop with the Department of Transport, how that was pulled together, where it was executed, what the Empowr Mobility model is, which really evolved from that question that James Goodwin sort of posed to us and the challenge which we took on. And we've actually soundboarded this with the NRSCP steering committee quite extensively as it's sort of gone along and taken the life of its own. So following up from Tristan, and what a better way, instead of just hearing about the numbers and stats, what are actually meeting some of the people's lives who it's touched and how it's actually working and understanding why it's going to make a difference. So what we're going to hear is from Binyam Tekiki. He is an aspiring young individual driver from West Melbourne, and basically a spectacular, amazing human being. And I'm very proud to see that he's shared his story through this program. And you can hear how he, I guess, getting in a safer vehicle, which is supplied through by Coffee Forward, and we're amazing to have partners like that provide on. And he was brought in from the Laverton Community Education Centre, where he got his license to the LTP program. I won't steal any more of his thunder, as it's a great story, and I think you'll understand why. That's the sort of people we should be actually helping get mobile and get into these sort of fleet vehicles. But then the next part is we have Nahid Akhtar from Laverton Community Education Centre, and once again, you'll see how she just brings everyone to life with her enthusiasm, her passion, and she's the facilitator of the LTP program there among her community. And honestly, she just loves her job, is giving so much back to the community. And once again, you can hear how by getting these kids and get these people mobile in these vehicles, it's getting them to access opportunities in training, education, and jobs. Huge opportunity in that sort of sense. I won't draw on any more of what she's going to say, but you'll be absolutely enthralled when you see her and just the energy and the smile that she brings to as well. And then what we're going to follow up with is with Anthony Kavanagh. So he's CEO of another amazing organisation, Gambina, which is an Indigenous organisation up in Shepparton. And look, I know they're going through a hard time at the moment, and with the COVID lockdowns, and so thoughts go out to them. But once again, Anthony is going to be kicking off, and we're going to be starting a pilot up there funded by TAC, drawing into the learnings that we've done from the DOT one, in particular from Binyam, and he's going to help advise and provide some guidance into that sort of group and selecting the new candidates that move forward. And this is around basically how do you actually get safer vehicles to some of the Indigenous communities out there. So once again, you'll find those aspiring individuals so they can really access transport and opportunities when they're going out there. So I won't steal any more thunder from any of the amazing presenters which are going to be following up. And thank you again for your time. And I look forward to taking questions during the session and answering at the very end once we've heard from all of our 4 presenters. So thank you very much, and I hope you get a lot out of it. Thank you.
Thanks for hosting, Jerome. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Tristan King, co-founder and CEO of Empowr Mobility. I'm passionate about designing programs and products and using technology to make driving safer. I've been involved in social innovation, leadership and education programs most of my career. And I've previously been the CEO of a national research and evaluation firm. Empowr provides technology to make drivers safer. One key piece to making drivers safer is providing equitable access to newer, safer vehicles. Particularly young people, those experiencing transport disadvantage. They usually can only afford old, unsafe vehicles, and because of that, they're overrepresented in road trauma. In today's presentation, you'll learn more about our recent pilot that we held, which was funded by the Victorian Department of Transport to enable young people and community organisations to access safer, more affordable vehicles fitted with technology and the difference that it made. At a broad level, young people who drive vehicles less than 3-star ANCAP rated are 4 times more likely to be killed in a car crash or critically injured. Vehicles mixed with driving behaviour end up in intensive care due to car crashes. More than 250,000 young people in Australia's outer suburbs and regions suffer from transport disadvantage, leading directly to income and education inequality. If you're under 21, traditional car sharing services is not an option, and if you can afford a car, it's most likely not to be a very good one. How do we solve this? We connect corporate, community and government organisations, creating ecosystems that enable young people and those experiencing transport disadvantage to access affordable, newer, safer vehicles and become safer drivers. Ecosystem partners enable Empowr to attract, support the program via individual arrangements or through the community model. Each driver has access to our technology that collects driver safety information via telematics and provides virtual coaching to nudge drivers to become safer and reduce risk-taking. Our approach is targeted to address systemic challenges that block aspiring young people and those experiencing transport disadvantage from affording a safe vehicle so they can access work, education, and social opportunities. Thanks for hosting, Jerome. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Tristan King, co-founder and CEO of Empowr Mobility. I'm passionate about designing programs and products and using technology to make driving safer. I've been involved in social innovation, leadership and education programs most of my career. And I've previously been the CEO of a national research and evaluation firm. Empowr provides technology to make drivers safer. One key piece to making drivers safer is providing equitable access to newer, safer vehicles. Particularly young people, those experiencing transport disadvantage. They usually can only afford old, unsafe vehicles, and because of that, they're overrepresented in road trauma. In today's presentation, you'll learn more about our recent pilot that we held, which was funded by the Victorian Department of Transport to enable young people and community organisations to access safer, more affordable vehicles fitted with technology and the difference that it made. At a broad level, young people who drive vehicles less than 3-star ANCAP rated are 4 times more likely to be killed in a car crash or critically injured. Vehicles mixed with driving behaviour end up in intensive care due to car crashes. More than 250,000 young people in Australia's outer suburbs and regions suffer from transport disadvantage, leading directly to income and education inequality. If you're under 21, traditional car sharing services is not an option, and if you can afford a car, it's most likely not to be a very good one. How do we solve this? We connect corporate, community and government organisations, creating ecosystems that enable young people and those experiencing transport disadvantage to access affordable, newer, safer vehicles and become safer drivers. Ecosystem partners enable Empowr to attract, support the program via individual arrangements or through the community model. Each driver has access to our technology that collects driver safety information via telematics and provides virtual coaching to nudge drivers to become safer and reduce risk-taking. Our approach is targeted to address systemic challenges that block aspiring young people and those experiencing transport disadvantage from affording a safe vehicle so they can access work, education, and social opportunities. In 2020, the Victorian Department of Transport funded Empowr to run an in-field pilot for 3 months, and there were 2 models piloted. The individual lease to encourage soon-to-be recent graduates of the TAC L2P program, and that is to access those affordable, newer, safe cars fitted with technology. We offered that to 2 young people. And then there's the community lease where we offered that vehicle to a community organisation so their learner drivers, mentors, and the L2P program could use it. The research question that we validated was, do young drivers accept the Empowr model? And was there a desire to take up a newer 5-star ANCAP safe vehicle fitted with technology at an affordable price? So in there were lines of inquiry. Do young drivers see value in Empowr? Would they consider leasing or accessing a vehicle for a fee for service? In general, how accepting are young people of safer vehicles, especially selecting them for their first or next car? And do young drivers reflect on their driving? Would the technology help with creating awareness of their driving behaviour? The pilot had approximately 40 to 50 drivers and 20 mentors over 3 locations. We had Laverton Integrated Community Services. We had the Salvation Army in Bendigo. We had Sunraiser Sun Assist in Mildura. And across there was a makeup of either 2 of the probationary drivers testing the individual model, and then the other 40 drivers testing the community model. We also had coffee for the 4 2020 Ford Focus ST line cars for the whole duration of the pilot, which enabled us to provide these vehicles at no cost to the probationary drivers. The program aimed to shift the predominant attitude to acquiring a vehicle within this cohort, which was to purchase an affordable, older, less safe vehicle to consider an alternate option of acquiring a safer new vehicle. The probationary drivers were recent graduates of the L2P program, and they were provided these safe vehicles fitted with our app, Cara, and it acted as a virtual mentor to drivers. It uses telematics data and it integrates with other parts of technology to identify driving events such as speeding, harsh braking, accelerating, and cornering. At the end of each journey, Cara considers any safe events that occurred throughout the drive, provided the driver with a safe driver score and educational tips and micro videos aligned to the safety events experienced during the drive. The tips that we provide act as a reinforcement to really help those drivers become more aware of their behaviours and improve their ability to consistently be safe drivers. The data was also shared with mentors in the vehicle, so when the learners were there with them, they could have those conversations about their driving behaviour. A key point to the success was the collaboration with the parties, having really good relationships with the L2P coordinators, the mentors and drivers. Probationary drivers as part of the individual program, and Binyam, you'll hear from him shortly, gained increased access to employment, education and social opportunities through participating in the pilot. One driver embraced Cara and progressed their driving skill and developed safe behaviours. Another driver accessed the new safer car and it heavily reduced the burden of maintaining their 12-year-old vehicle, which was considered by the driver to be unsafe and too expensive to fix. So which that driver at the end of the pilot disposed of that vehicle. Most of the mentors embraced the program and saw it as a tool to enhance and support their efforts with helping their drivers become safe, responsible road users. These mentors, and Cara, they really use that to their advantage, especially the ones who were very engaged in the program, because they said that it really helped with creating conversations outside of very basic, early stage relationship conversations, and it enabled them to really target that feedback to drivers. And in these cases, the speed in which the driver improved significantly compared to those who were not so engaged in the program. Our data collection really incorporated surveys to which we had a baseline and an end of pilot survey, interviews and focus group type workshops that helped shape the program, both previously and during the time of the pilot. Key findings were quite significant, in particularly this ability to shift the awareness of safe vehicles. The initial survey we took with 375 responses conducted to gain an understanding of knowledge of the safe vehicles and the level of importance placed on them. And it found that awareness of safe vehicles was relatively low, as you'll see from these points here on the slide. Young people also have a change in attitudes to mobility. Instead of purchasing a car, young people are interested in how they could subscribe to a service, like you do with Spotify for music. And they're quite interested in, will that create a greater affordability and be more in line with their needs and preferences for accessing transport. We also saw that there was evidence of behaviour change. So 67% of drivers reported that the best aspect of Kara was its ability to motivate and reinforce the behaviours. And we saw that in particular with a number of cases in a site where it really helped motivate going to the session with their mentor, having the session, and then thinking about how to apply things differently in their next session. Mentors also found that it supported them, and those who were significantly engaged with the program really reported that this was of a huge benefit because they could have a different conversation and they could also support that young person to benefit from what was working for them. The key results of the program really, they did raise the veil on the relationship between safe and new cars and access challenges for young people. It also raised affordability challenges that forced those young people or those experiencing transport disadvantage to purchase the older unsafe vehicles. So as a result, we had one probationary driver, Binyam, who you'll hear from next, go ahead after the pilot and purchase the 2020 Ford Focus from us, or from the program. As I did say, the other driver did also dispose of their vehicle. And I guess this is what it did, is it really raised that point of safe vehicles are now more important than they were before coming into the program. There were some challenges that we had. One of the challenges was acceptance of technology. Locations differed. Some are much, much more engaged and understood technology versus those who didn't so much. And those differences in how they accessed Kara and information provided by the newer safe car sometimes created some confusion around what piece of technology was providing what sort of data. And we also saw that in why safe cars matter, because in some cases a car was just a car for both mentors and drivers. And the level of technology really wasn't known. So the things that created a safe car was, oh, my 20-year-old car, it's reliable, it's safe, it's really good because it never breaks down. And that became sometimes a challenge around the value of having a newer safe car fitted with technology, that some of those attitudes needed to shift a bit more. Also, digital literacy and understanding data, that was very challenging for some mentors. And 1 in 5 drivers found that the feedback was confusing, which again lines up quite well with all of the points in the challenges.
My name is Binyam Taki. I'm from Point Cook, and I joined the Empowr Mobility program last year, and I had a great experience with great Empowr Mobility. And here's a video of mine of becoming a safe driver. So here's my story.
Hey guys, my name is Binyam Teki and I'm 22 years old and I live in Wyndham area. I mostly enjoy playing soccer. I'm currently studying nursing at Victoria University. Recently started working as well at personal care. When I go to uni, I have to catch 2 trains and a bus. It takes a bit of a while hours to get there. Work is the hardest one. Sometimes I don't get car to get to work. I have to catch the transport. And sometimes you miss a bus or you miss a train and then you gotta go to work late. It makes it difficult to get to work and come home, Having a car from Empowr Mobility will make life a lot easier for me. Particularly speaking of work, we'll be able to pick up maybe more shifts. That makes it easier. You have and reliable transport to get to the place and come home safe as well. I heard about the Empowr Mobility program through my LTP coordinator. She suggested me to have a look at the program. She also said, you are the right person because I know what you've been through and I know you personally. I also got my license through the help of L2P program. I wouldn't have been able to get my license without their help. From Empowr Mobility, I'll be getting brand new Ford Focus. Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
It was an absolute pleasure having you as part of this pilot. I'm really keen to know, how did you feel about it? What changed through you when you're going through the pilot and it keeps happening now?
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you. I'm glad to be here with you, interviewing me. So the program was a really good experience. I've enjoyed being part of the program, and I've learned a lot from this program. I've learned to become a safer driver on the road. I've learned a lot of skills to become, safe on the road and responsible. So most young person on my age, I think this kind of program would be really helpful for them. And I don't think this, if they didn't go this kind of program, I think they might not be as safe or responsible. That's just my opinion, but I think this program would really help a lot of young people to become safer.
During your time in the pilot, Binyan, how did your feelings and your ideas around safety change?
This experience, like the technology involved with this, with the car that I have provided, with the brand new car, Ford Focus 2019, they had all the gadgets and all this, so like braking system, acceleration, all this like installed in an app or in a mobile phone, which make it a lot easier to see how well you're driving. You have a driving score, which assess all your braking, acceleration, speeding, all that, cornering. So this makes it a lot easier where you are in terms of you safe driving. So this really did help me see where I'm at in terms of my safety and how good I'm driving on the road. So I think it was really great. And I can see, like, every time I make a mistake, I'll be like, this is what I want mistake. And it does tell you, the app does tell you when every time you make a mistake. So it's sort of got me to think, like, why am I doing this? And I try to like reflect back and try to get better next time. So this really helped me a lot to become a good driver.
When you got a bad score, how'd that feel?
I felt really bad. I sort of like blaming myself, like, why did I do that? Like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? Especially with the cornering, you know what I mean? It's like, I need to slow down a lot. Why am I going faster on like roundabouts or like even making turns in intersections? It's like, why am I going? Sometimes there was a problem where I was going up on the speed limit, but then I don't know, maybe my turning was not good enough. Maybe it wasn't the speed, it was just a turning. So I felt bad. Like, I was sort of blaming myself in a way, but then I was like, I just had to stop and think, like, I have to get better at this. I have to slow down, brake, and then slowly make the right turn. It makes you better, I guess.
So now that you finished the program, do you think that you drive the same way still, or do you think you've had some of your behaviors or habits come back?
No, to be honest, no, they haven't come back. My friend would say, you drive like an old person or like a grandmother, as a joke. But I told them, like, I'd rather be safe on the road than be sorry later, So I always drive safe on the road. So I always make sure drive on the speed limit and the cornering as well. I drive slow. So like I do the appropriate turns. So this helped me a lot. So it's sort of like instilled in my head to drive like that. So I've been driving like that for 3 months. So it's sort of like become a habit now.
You mentioned your mate then. I was just intrigued. Has it influenced him at all? Or, do you think he's driving a bit safer or wishes he had the same opportunity?
They did say about saying, you know, they do see me as like really good driver. They say, okay, you like I trust you like with my life. They say that, you know, you're a really good driver. So like I feel like this program is the right program for any young person to go through and experience it, and they would see there's a big difference. Like you just give it a month, I'm 100% for sure. If you give it a month, one young person, there's gonna be a change.
Yeah, earlier in your video, you talked about purchasing a car before you entered the program, and then you had 3 months with the vehicle, and you were able to use that for anything you needed to do, work or social opportunities. So when you finished the program, what did you end up doing? Did you use your $2,000 to $4,000 and buy an older car, or did you do something else?
A good question, Justin. But yeah, that was a problem at the start. I had like a low budget. I was gonna use a used car, but then, you know, this opportunity helped me a lot to travel to work, pick up more shifts, and, you know, save up some money, and which, you know, and then I also had to spoken with family before after this 3 months finished with the program, and I had a chance the car was for sale. I had a chance to talk to the Empowr and the Ford Focus company. So after I spoke to them about the purchasing car, we couldn't agree on the price, but then I had to lend some money. I had to lend some money from the family. They lent me some money, which I was able to purchase the car, which is great. This car had all the features, all the safety checks. It's really reliable, and yeah. And I love the camera on the reverse camera that it has HD camera. That's amazing.
Yeah, I must admit, I've got to sing out Coffee Forward for supplying their vehicles. Like, they're just awesome in helping us out in this.
Yes, Coffee Ford. Yes, they're very nice people. They looked after me well.
What are some of the other things you use the car for? What are some of the strengths and other opportunities that you, like in the social side and community, where you're able to when you're mobile, that you could achieve?
I was coaching little kids soccer, so I sort of used that one to, you know, go travel for coaching, for my work, for my uni. So like, and also social. So it was good.
I guess in closing, Binyan, how did you feel about safe driving before you started the program, and then how do you feel about safe driving now?
Oh, you notice a big change, I know for sure, and also the data says so. And I feel also there's a big change in my driving. At the start, I was not, to be honest, I was not safe as I am today. No way. Like literally, it was that bad. Like I might think I'm safe, but then like when you install the app and you see, you know, you're speeding, you're braking hard or cornering, you know, just like you didn't even know. I thought you're driving normal, and then like, but the app is saying, you know, that's what you're doing. But you do feel like you know you're doing it wrong, but then like, so like that's how a lot of people drive, I guess. And you feel like that's normal, but it's not really safe. Hard braking and all that. But then this app helps you, like, sort of like instills in your mind how to become a safe driver. When it's telling you like you're making a mistake and you see your score going low. So I mean, sorry, it's your score going high, a number of mistakes going high. You'd be like, oh no, I need to do better. I need to work on this. This is what I want wrong. It sort of like makes you think and fix up your mistakes.
Now he joins us from the Laverton Community Integrated Services out in Laverton. And we've just heard from Binyam, and Binyam is a graduate of the L2P program. And he spent 2 years working with Naheed, and Naheed also played a role in the pilot, coordinating, 20 young drivers throughout the 3 months to pilot the Empowr Mobility program. So thanks for joining us, Naheed.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start. So, can you tell us a little bit about Laverton Community Integrated Services and the work that you do?
Yeah, Laverton Community Integrated Services is a not-for-profit neighborhood house operating under the Community Development Framework, and it is underpinned by social justice principle. It is governed by volunteer-based board representative of the local community. The daily operations are run by CEO, professional staff, and enhanced by passionate, somewhat like 100 volunteers.
What are the sort of the young people that reach into your program and need the support to gain their license?
Look, like I said, this is a community. We are a neighborhood house, so we have different various programs. We have adult community education. We have integrated childcare services. We have community services program like Youth Foundation. We have emergency relief program, crisis intervention services. So we have this, I would say, versatile, different groups of, people working together. So it's a very multicultural area where we work. So the groups, the young people, those who are referred from various different parts of organizations, and they are mostly, maybe I would say, come from multicultural group, newly arrived refugees, or I would say, they're referred mostly by Department of Health and Human Services.
Running the Learner to Probationary program funded by TAC, you see a whole range of different young people in different parts of venturing into learning to drive.
Yeah.
And before we start the pilot, can you tell us a little bit of some of the things that you deal with on a daily basis as part of the L2P program?
L2P program, supports young people from 16 to 23 years of old to get their license. Now, these young people, they, like I said, they are mostly referred by, social workers, school counselors, and job agencies. So they do not have anyone to help or support to get their hours up.
So tell us, Naheed, a little bit about the L2P program funded by TAC that you deliver.
Yeah, the Winday TAC L2P program, this assessed disadvantaged Victorian learner driver aged 16 to 21 with no access to a supervised driver or vehicle to gain the 120 hours of driving experience. We match young people with a fully licensed volunteer driver and practice vehicle to help them gain driving experience. Now, once they are matched, they are on their own, like driving supervised with the volunteers in our car. Now we have 80 young people and 60 plus volunteers, those who are supervising these young people. But it would have been like they are driving, they are doing, we get told their stories, like how they are driving, how they are progressing. They get assessed by the professional driving instructors as well, like at the beginning, and then when they reach 20 or 30 hours. But I don't know like how they are progressing. So it's like, it would have been very exciting. Like I think it was very exciting when the Empowr program comes in and they gave me that opportunity to have a look, at those data. So yeah, that's a very exciting few weeks of into the L2P program.
Do you want to tell us a bit about what was it that excited you about it? What bringing the program in?
Look, like I said, when they are driving, you don't know how they are driving, right? And they start from 0 hours with a professional instructor, get to 3 hours, and then they start with a volunteer. And like when I had this Empowr, program and this technology in the car, I was able to actually see how they are progressing, and these young people, not only me, the young people also have access to their data. So it was really quite exciting for them as well. When I used to have a chat with them, they were like, look, like they're very excited to see how they are driving. They're exciting. So it was very cool few weeks, I would say.
So what difference do you think it made, being able to see the data, having the technology in the car for the young drivers and for the mentors?
I think for young people, it was confidence. Like, you know, they are driving and they know they're lodging the hours, they're clocking the hours, you know, but, you know, they have also this pressure, like whether they're driving nicely or not. But when they see a data and they see, you know, how they're improving week-wise, it boosts their confidence. So it was really good, you know. And there's another, like, they have a lot to talk about when they have a data in front of them. And yeah, I think it really helped them mentally, I would say, to boost their confidence.
Did it make it easier as well? Like, I guess for young people in particular, they may not know everything. Do you think it made it easier for them to engage with the mentor and the younger driver as well, vice versa?
Absolutely. Like you know, they like at the end of the lesson, the L2P, according to the L2P structure and all, at the end of the lesson, they do talk about what you did not, what you did right, what you did not do right, you know. But with the data, it was really good for them to have a chat and plan what we need to do in our next lesson.
With the vehicle too, one of the parts of the pilot was to have a safer, newer vehicle. And you used a very new, at the time, a 3-month-old Ford Focus with lots of technology and driving aids.
Yeah.
How did that resonate with young people? Did you find that young people enjoyed using all the technology, or were there any challenges there?
No, they loved it actually. They were so excited. You know, I know, like when this came in, when I had a chat with few of the mentors, and when I had a chat internally with my staff, it was like they come from a disadvantaged background, you know, so they might not, you know, have this fancy cars. But I said, why do you think like that, you know? But why can't they have it? You know, they study, they will earn money, and they will get it, you know. They might afford such cars. So but so we said we'll give it a go, and the expression, the interest from the young people was fantastic. Like, they loved it. So it was good. It was really good.
I think that's an example about, what did you think of Binyam actually buying one of the cars at the end of it?
It would be amazing, isn't it?
I thought it was a fantastic outcome that he actually decided to buy one of those cars. So it proved to all the young guys, look, you can.
Of course they can. Yeah. I don't think we should put a limitation like what they can or they cannot. We should offer and let them decide whether they want to do it or not. So for me, in my program, I saw like 100% of the young people, they were excited, although there was some hesitation among old cohort of volunteers. But they get along. Like when they saw the young people are like, they're really excited about it, they're enjoying it, so they get along, you know. So it was nice outcome and nice journey all along.
What was the end result for you after the pilot, do you think?
I didn't want it to stop, you know, end, but it did. So I would say, like, seeing some of the young people, how they progressed, and you know, looking at their journey. And I actually had one example, like one young person, he was not progressing. Like there was a bit of I would say the young people, according to him, he's driving nicely. According to volunteer, he wasn't driving nicely. According to, again, the professional driving instructor, you know, whom we get them assessed in between, according to him, also not. But it was very hard for young people to make them understand that, you know, you're not progressing, or what you are doing wrong. Now, when he saw the data and he realized, you know, what he was doing wrong, and he actually worked on them, you know, so that was cool. You know, I think it was effective. So it helped, at least, like, I can see in one person where I was struggling, where the volunteer was struggling, where the professional driving instructor was struggling to teach him where he was going wrong. and then having a chat with him with the data from Empowr, it actually helped him to understand where he was going wrong. So it actually improved. He actually improved.
Yeah, it's such a good story, isn't it? I know the example you're talking about. There was a couple of those examples when you could see around speeding or...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like hitting hard on accelerator or taking a sharp turn. He was doing these things and he was like, no, I'm fine. This is what, this is normal. I said, no, this is not normal. So then he realized that, so it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good story, Naheed. And I think that's been in other cases very similar, where you create the awareness and it makes it easier for people to have the conversation rather than it being a hard stick. You're doing it wrong. It's more, how can we help you?
Yeah.
I mean, what would be your biggest learning out of the pilot? Either, positive or a challenge, but yeah, what would be the biggest learning?
I think to engage with young people, because look, with volunteers, it's very easy for me to engage. You talk about young people and you strategize how we need to improve. But with young people, I do not have much to talk. They do not open up. They are young people. So I think with that data, I was able to connect with them, which was really nice for me.
Joining Tristan and I today is Anthony Kavanagh. He's the Chief Executive of an amazing organisation called Gambina. So Anthony, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Jerome, for the invite and the introduction. Yeah, I'm Anthony Kavanagh. Today, 8 years CEO at Gambina. Gambina is an Aboriginal-led organisation operating out of Shepparton that runs a number of transition programs to help Aboriginal kids transition from school to employment, and as we know, a key part of getting a job and going to university is about mobility. So getting licenses and vehicles and being able to be mobile increases opportunities for young Aboriginal kids. Me, myself, I'm a Toongaroong man on Toongaroong country right now, working on Yorta Yorta Wurundjeri country with our officers. And I've got 2 daughters myself. And I can remember back in the day when they were older teenagers and they had boyfriends who were of driving age and had vehicles. As a dad, I remember having the conversations with the boys around my expectations about how they should be driving and driving safely, and especially not only for themselves, but with my daughters in the car. And I think just as a responsible parent, I needed to have that conversation with these boys, and I was putting a lot of trust in their ability to drive, but also their ability to make, reasonable decisions when they're in a car and when they're behind the wheel of a car. So yeah, so that's me.
And I was going to say that first of all, just get some context. And the other thing, you had your birthday today. And the other exciting thing is we've just signed a contract to kick off the Empowr Mobility pilot with Gambina up in Shepparton. So super excited about that, and we'll touch about that a little bit further along. But key question I want to think about now is, what are some of the mobility challenges that Gambina youth face?
Yeah, so Gambina is a regional-based program out of Shepparton with a community of about 60-odd thousand and a large Aboriginal community of about 10% of that. So with a regional community like Shepparton, mobility is really important. They have limited public transport services, buses. The train, whilst being a V-line train, runs up and down to Melbourne. But to get across town, around town, down to the city, having a vehicle and having a licence is a really important thing. And especially for Aboriginal kids, because traditionally in time, Aboriginal kids that don't get their licences have been found to be driving illegally, unlicensed, those sort of things. So it exposes our Aboriginal kids to the juvenile justice system at very young ages, so it creates problems. So mobility in the context of a regional town like Shepparton for the Aboriginal community is super important.
Just on that as well, Anthony, I guess for those that are aware, like that access into the juvenile system, once they get into that can be quite problematic, can't it?
Yeah, Aboriginal youth in the juvenile justice system, I mean, the facts are there for everyone to say. Once they get in, it's very hard for them to get out. And some of these kids get in at early teenage years and basically spend most of their lives in the either incarcerated or in the welfare system. So mobility is a really important aspect of their lives.
So with the age-old problem, Anthony, how's it changed over time for young people getting access to transport?
Yeah, so Gambina with 24 years old next year, but for 10 years, and we've recognised this a long time ago with our own sort of small amount of research. So for 10 years, we've been running our My Way to the Highway program to help young Aboriginal kids get their learners and get their licences and get lessons so that they have the experience, they're 120 hours up, so they have the experience to drive when they get driving age. So running that program for 10 years, we just sort of think that having this partnership opportunity with the Road Safety Authority and TAC and others, and signing the contracts recently, we're really excited that this will expand a program that we've seen as a really important part of the Gambina program suites and really help those young Aboriginal kids get driving experience at a very young age.
And how does affordability play into young people in regional areas, especially in your programs?
Yeah, one of the reasons that we exist is we're an employment program. So primarily a lot of our activities are targeted at employment. And the reason we're there is there have been significant issues for Aboriginal kids for a long, long time in the community. Mobility is one of them. Affordability of cars is another one. The ability to get a job, get to a job, get to training. If they want to go to university, it is a problem. So, if you don't have the right level of education and attitude to work, to get a job, to be able to afford cars, the affordability of a vehicle is really important, but also the affordability of a vehicle that's safe. And what we've found over the years, and even back to when I was a teenager and purchasing a car, you're limited by the amount of income you've got, with a lot of families really struggling for financially. And now that COVID's been here a couple of years, it's really rocked the employment market. The community's taken a few hits around having jobs and the ability to purchase cars and the ability to purchase safe cars.
Well, what do you reckon? What's a typical first car, and what's the attitude of a lot of the youth, young people coming through your sort of program and up around the Shepparton in a broader level as well?
Yeah, well, we're finding through our program that the kids are buying cars that they can afford, and some of those cars are not roadworthy. They're spending a lot of money on them to bring them up to roadworthy standard, but then they just aren't still unsafe cars. So affordability is a significant problem.
So Anthony, what are you most excited about with the Empowr model starting with your organisation?
Yeah, the Empowr program is such a great opportunity for Gambina and the Shepparton community. We realise it's a pilot, but the model itself, I think, has a really good chance of success, because some of the things that these kids need to do, they need to learn how to drive properly. And I think the way that the cars are set up with our ability to data collect and look at analytics around kids' driving habits and be able to coach them along the way about what they're doing right, what they're not doing so well, what they can improve on, is going to be a really special tool that we'll be able to further develop in years ahead. So we're really excited about this opportunity, and we're really looking forward to getting started.
Just on that as well, how easy is it to sort of engage with some of the young drivers? Do you find some of them, when they're going through your program, is it because like with the youth, I know everything, or do you find they ever problematic at all?
The youth in the program are all case managed, the ones that are high school age. So we engage with them fairly regularly. We mentor them every day. So we have really positive relationships with those kids. Those kids access a number of different programs with Gambina around leadership, some financial support. But the driving program is one of our key programs because mobility is so important in Shepparton. So to further expand on that and partner with the Road Safety Authority and TAC and other organisations will further enhance our programs for our community.
You're going to provide some insight, Anthony, to other organisations out there thinking, well, how could we get involved and what would this mean for our corporate social responsibility? What ways would this improve on providing reconciliation action plans or be able to support Indigenous organisations with a program like this?
Yeah, well, I think for corporations and companies that may have cars that they're thinking about trading in, this is a real prime example of how they can meet some of their corporate social responsibility key indicators. You know, by giving us the cars or giving us access to the cars to have in the program, that's going to provide more opportunities for youth in the community to be driving around in a car that's much safer than they might have otherwise had. But more importantly, it'll allow us to collect more data and information over a period of time because we'll have more vehicles on the road. So I would suggest to corporations, companies and the government, etc., who are interested in getting involved in supporting the program with giving us cars or even sponsorship, something like that. You know, insurance companies, we need insurance on the cars. Tyre companies, we need tyres, we need petrol. You know, the program will need ongoing support. So to get in on the ground floor and to be a supporter will be a great thing for a lot of Australian companies.
And the really exciting thing on this is the next Australasian Road Safety Conference, which hopefully will be in person. We'll be able to share the results and the outcome from this journey because it's going to be fully evaluated, and we'll be able to talk about this and feature some of your amazing kids. Because I think what I'm hearing from you now is this, you've got this amazing organisation and system you've set around to help with the self-determination of your kids to be the best that they can be, and getting them a safe mobility gives them even more opportunity.
Yeah, the self-determination part's really important, Jerome, and I think, you know, we look forward to being at the conference, and I'm sure we'll have a few of our kids that we can come along and they can talk to their personal stories and experience that they're having in life and in the program, but also talk to the changes and the opportunities that having a vehicle and being in this program will give them, whether that's going off to university, going to work, being able to seek jobs that might be a little bit out of town, that, you know, is a bit further riding a bike. They'll need a car and that sort of thing. So I really look forward to the opportunity in the future of showcasing some of our kids where they can talk to their story and the benefits of the program. So look, just in sort of winding up, for me, this isn't something that Gambina's just got involved in last week. We've seen the importance of mobility and being able to support our young Aboriginal kids, you know, learning how to drive, getting licenses, and being responsible citizens and drivers, and that. The extension of that is to provide them with lifelong opportunities and access to education, access to jobs, and that is basically through being mobile, through having a car. This program's a no-brainer. My closing thoughts would be, if you're interested at all, please reach out, give us a call, have a chat to us, and get on board. We'd really love to be talking about your support. Thank you.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to everybody involved, in particular the Victorian Department of Transport and TAC L2P program for enabling us to pilot our program with them. Also Coffee Ford in Dandenong for the supply of the 4 vehicles, and each of the community organisations involved with delivering. How to get involved? Well, Empowr is launching further pilots across Australia, and we're commencing our second pilot very shortly with the TAC. And you'll hear from one of our partners, Gambina, later in the presentations around their role in coming into piloting this program with us. Of course, if you're interested to find out more about pilots, the report, or CARA, please be in touch with Jerome and I, and we'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. Thank you.